What's up? Welcome in.
Hey.
Small Business Talk, the podcast, episode 4. We're back. We're still back and after it.
Trying to get those subscribers.
Get up the subs, baby. Yeah. We got some. Got a couple trickling in.
Yeah. I mean, we just posted the first episode, so we're recording like a little bit in advance just to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
So
get a little backlog.
Yeah.
So
How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. Got a couple new deals this week, which is exciting.
Nice. Your YouTube's killing it.
Yeah, YouTube has been. I checked this morning that both the videos that did well over the weekend completely flatlined.
You're gonna have that.
Yeah. But yeah, I got like 30 subscribers over the weekend, which is exciting for me. I'm still at the point where that's like a huge number.
I'd kill for that.
I'm so excited for the day when I don't even notice 30 new subscribers.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it was cool. A couple people were like, watched my video and commented, "Oh, I thought I was watching the videos of a 1 million subscriber channel. Like, didn't realize you had nobody following you yet." Basically, is what they were saying. I'm like, I think that's a compliment. Thank you. Cool.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there.
How's things going with you?
Good. Yeah, it's nice to get some warmer weather. Like this weekend was awesome.
Yeah.
Getting out of that like winter depression.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's I'm sure it'll cool back down. I'm sure we'll get a little bit more snow, but it's nice to see the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody.
And it's hard to know if that this time of the year, if the warmer weather helps sales, you know, because you like pray for warmer weather and no more snow and all that. And then like it comes and everyone wants to be outside, you know. I saw you biking yesterday. Like no one wants to go out to eat. Yeah. Because it's so nice finally, you know.
Right.
So it's like a double-edged sword. And then it kind of levels out once people get used to some better weather.
Yeah.
So, but either way, it's better than the crappy snowy weather.
Yeah.
So
I could smell a lot of grilling in the neighborhood yesterday. Like it hits 50 degrees.
It's a good sign.
And dudes just break out the grill.
I mean, in this time of the year, that feels like 80, you know?
Yeah.
You like take your coat off, you have a t-shirt on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was good. But yeah, no, things are good. Just plugging away.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So this week, let's talk about AI.
Yeah.
Extremely hot topic. It's honestly annoying how often the little like AI bubble comes up on websites. Like I'm just shopping for a light. I don't need an AI tool to help me navigate your website.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
There is so much everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Like in your opinion, what is AI?
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it's hard to know if it's kind of this like the shiny new object where you just see it everywhere on every website. And then in the future, they refer to it less as AI, and it's just more a normal part of every business.
Yeah.
You know, which I think that's how it will be eventually. But right now, it's kind of like if you wanna create a social media post or do anything, you log on to ChatGPT, and that's your form of utilizing AI to benefit you and your business. So.
Yeah, right.
There's obviously a lot more to it. I mean, that's the simplest way that we use it. You know, just taking the brain power out of like, what do I post on social media? But there's a lot more to it when it comes to, you know, scheduling, and I think there will be more to it, like in the future at least for our industry, just like in terms of scheduling and projecting sales and things like that. Yeah. I think on a basic level, it already kind of does that. Yeah.
So is ChatGPT the only thing you use now?
Yeah. Or like Grok on X.
What's Grok? I don't know that.
It's basically the same thing. You just, when you log into X, you know, your X account, then you just click on the Grok tab, and it's basically the same thing as ChatGPT.
Gotcha.
But ChatGPT is nice because you can log into, you know, your Canva, and you can say, you know, create me a post, a social media post or an image, and it'll generate, you know, examples or templates for you that you can then just take into your Canva account.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of extra plugins, and I'm sure Grok has that too. It's just, I think you have to pay for it to unlock levels, tiers of like what you can get out of it.
Yeah.
So I use both, but do you use it quite a bit?
So I use ChatGPT a lot. I realized, like, oh, I'm a bad writer, and I don't excel at that. Like,
I'm not as creative as I thought I might be.
I'm like, anytime I feel bogged down with a task, I should think about using AI alternatives. So I used it to write a lot of stuff on my website. I use it for YouTube descriptions like every single time, which is it's kind of ironic because no humans read those. It's just like the Google tracking bots to figure out what analytics go where and like what keywords. So I'm asking a robot to write something so that another robot can read it down the road. It makes me laugh every time. So I use it anytime I'm bogged down with writing. I'm like, just write it in ChatGPT. Even some like more important emails, I've asked it to write. I've never copy and pasted a ChatGPT email into and like sent it, but it does help to like, oh, I should think of, don't forget this point, and
structuring it.
Yeah,
and I was gonna forget to, like, I would have forgotten to mention that.
Yeah,
like it almost thinks better for you than you can think for yourself sometimes.
Yeah,
which is pretty sad.
Yeah, it is. I used Midjourney for a while. I'm curious your thoughts on like the ethics of it all too. So
what's that?
Midjourney is an image creation AI, which ChatGPT does now too. So it'll spit out 4 images based on a text prompt, obviously. And I realized through it, it's not as magical as it seems. What it's doing, this is my very, very novice understanding of it, but what it's doing from a software perspective is kind of cataloging images and then meshing those images together based on your prompt. Really, it's just like taking a blender of copyrighted stuff, blending it up and sending it back to you. So it's really not their work, so to speak. It just, the AI is just whatever it was trained on, right? And so it's trained on the catalog of the internet's images. I think I could be wrong on like the exact image database that Midjourney created, but
there's plugins on ChatGPT that will essentially do that same thing.
Yeah,
it's just a different program that you like to use.
Right. And so I was using it for a while. I even like set up a little Etsy shop. Like, oh, can I sell posters and stuff with it? I'd never sold one. And I ended up taking it down because I'm like, I don't really feel great about it. It's not. It seems to be copied work, and I don't want AI to take like the creative part of what we do as humans. Like, I don't think it's weird because I don't think anybody wants that.
Yeah,
but it seems like we're gonna get there no matter what we do.
Right. I'd be real nervous if I was in certain industries.
Yeah, I think even mine. I'm looking down the road and I'm like, okay, AI can take over a lot of graphic design. Even like video generation now is getting pretty good.
Yeah.
It hasn't gotten yet to like home design and architecture, but I could see a path. If it can take over graphic design, like it's not that far. There's more. A home is more intricate than a graphic, but it's kind of the same thing when you think about it.
Yeah, when you're working on a project, you're taking into account like the lot size and the dimensions and the grading.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe AI can get there with like taking that into account, but the more like details and intricate a project is, I feel like it would have a hard. At least now, where things are at, they would have a harder time.
Yeah,
performing real well.
Yeah, like
that stuff.
The scary part, AI already knows the code book better than I do. I've been doing this 20 years.
Yeah.
The second they put it online, it knew the code book and can spit back stuff that I don't know, off the top of my head. And so you could just implement that into cross-referencing it with home designs and stuff. I think the big tricky part is getting it trained on something, like there's not a database similar to like ChatGPT or Midjourney, these text and image ones. There's this massive database of free text it can scan, and there's a massive database of free images it can scan. There's not a massive database of free floor plans that anything can scan that isn't copyright free. So it gets, I think that's been the roadblock. That's my guess. That's been the roadblock to why it hasn't crept into my industry yet. There's some that I've tried and they've all been bad.
Well, and at the end of the day, I think people want to, when they're designing a house, like they want to add in what's in their brain or what they've seen in the past that they think would be really cool. And I think it's just different when you're working with an individual and you're telling them, no, I want this size and I want it laid out like this, as opposed to now I have to learn, even if you're using AI, like you still have to learn a program on some level or have somewhat of a basic understanding of how to manipulate it to fit your needs. So it's just like, and to hire you versus hiring an architect is probably pretty wildly different in terms of price. So it's like, well, I can afford that, and I'm dealing with an individual that I can tell them what I want.
I imagine a lot of people this is my hope, is that we're the ones the people in my industry are the ones using the AI tools and still dealing with clients. We're just getting through ideas and generation faster. This is honestly part of the reason why I want to do stuff like this podcast, is because I don't know what home design is going to look like in 10 years. I don't know if I'm going to get paid by drafting floor plans.
Yeah.
So I want as many options out there as I can.
Right.
And making content seems to be a good one. But it is. It's definitely scary. I think too. I don't think the average person would want, if you were to say home designed by a person, home designed by a computer, I think if they're the same price, people would pick the person.
Yeah.
Like everybody would be like, I'd rather home designed by a person. The problem is they're not going to be the same price after a lot of time goes on. Do you foresee anything in the restaurant? And you mentioned scheduling. You mentioned, obviously there's all sorts of like descriptions and graphics it can make. But like, is there anything in the restaurant industry that you think is coming from the AI perspective?
Well, I think the biggest thing that people see that that is too difficult to implement right now is using robots in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Tesla released those robots. I mean, I don't know if they're selling them right now or where that's at, but everyone's kind of heard about that. So assuming they have unlimited learning capabilities and they can like move, and it doesn't look like they move real fast, which is pretty important when you're working on a line and it's
sense.
busy, So I have a hard time with that. Like I've talked to my wife about that and she's like, that is not okay, to take jobs away from people and give them to robots. I mean, like, why are we in the work that we're in? It's a bigger purpose than just making money.
Yeah, right.
Like we're feeding into a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. I mean, right now, obviously I wouldn't do that, but 10, 20 years from now, I at least at this point, I kind of think like I'd have a hard time going down that road of like, now I have all these robots working in my kitchen.
Yeah.
So but if they're $30,000 a robot, I mean, that's pretty cheap, to staff a kitchen, and then you have zero labor
it's
costs.
Below minimum wage.
Yeah. I mean, you make that investment back pretty quick, within a year, so, so I don't know what that'll look like. I mean, maybe on some level you use like robotics to help refine your operations, but in terms from a cost saving perspective, I mean, that would have the biggest impact over everything I've seen.
Yeah.
So, but right now we really just, like I said, use it for social media posting, because a lot of my managers, like I try to have them, I do a lot of social media posting on my own because I like to make videos, and then I'm posting those videos of the food.
Yeah.
But I don't do that every day at every restaurant. So I make sure that the managers are consistently doing that, because we want to make a post pretty much every day, so we just stay top of mind. And some of them, kind of give me the excuse, like, I'm not creative. I'm not good at that. Like, that's not, I'm not really good with technology, all that stuff, So I've basically showed them, this is what you do. You type it in, and then it spits out a thing, and you just post it. But the problem with that is you do have to use your brain on some level, because every post will end up sounding the same way. Indulge in our savory. Yeah. Like it's kind of you can tell when something's an AI post.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think people can feel that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So at least you got, like, if you're not creative and you can't think of anything, plug it in, but at least tweak it a little bit and just take out the word indulge.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, that's fun. I find the thing I use it for the most is brainstorming. Help me come up with 10 ideas for videos.
Yeah, that's huge.
Like we mentioned in a podcast earlier, I said, this is our situation. We're going to make a podcast together. Give us 50 episode topics, and we're working through those. Like, that list was awesome. But I feel like when I want it to do something really specific, it always falls short of what I actually need it to do. I was trying to get, you're going to laugh, make fun of me now for being a nerd. I was trying to get it to write a rule book for a game I was making up. Yeah, see, I knew it was coming.
Yeah, what was that basketball game that we made up in high school?
On the trampoline?
No, the one in your gym, your basketball. It was like baseball.
Yeah.
Was it basketball essentially?
Yeah, it was baseball with a basketball. I don't know how any of us didn't die. Yeah. Just hurling a full-on basketball as hard as we could.
I mean, this is kind of hilarious. It's not on topic, but how old were we? High school or middle school or something?
We were not little.
We kept stats, tracked it for the summer. Had an Excel spreadsheet. Evan had 5 home runs.
Yes.
Andy had on base percentage of. It's just one-on-one baseball with a basketball in your gym.
Yes. And
so you have a history. That's the point. You have a history of making games. So it doesn't sound that weird to me.
Yeah. But I'm gave it all these parameters, helped me make a rule book. And what it did was just expounded on everything I wrote it. And I'm like, no. I need a rule book framework, how that game actually works. And it just kept adding detail to stuff I'd already more flowery sentences behind all the stuff I had input. And it couldn't think of actual game mechanics. Here's how a turn works. Yeah. This is what the strategy would look like in the game. It didn't think of anything like that. So as of right now, from what I've seen from AI, I think it's funny because I think everybody's a little bit scared with good reason. It makes sense to be kind of scared of this for people's jobs and stuff. But on the flip side, when you use it a lot, you're like, oh, it's not there. It's definitely not taking my job anytime soon.
Yeah.
Every time I try and get really specific and really dial it in, there's a human part that it misses. And I'm like, okay, I really need, there's no robot can actually just write this. I need to get in there. Same thing with I've used some rendering software that's AI, where you put in a really rough floor plan or SketchUp and it'll render it in a bunch of pretty ways and stuff. They look cool. None of them actually work. It's not really the same building. It's nothing I could ever give to a client and say hey, here's 50 ideas. What do you think of these? Again, it helps with brainstorming. I didn't think about putting the windows there. That's cool. But then I can't send that to a client because the windows over there are in the middle of a place that it made up on the floor plan, and it doesn't make sense. There's a bunch of stuff like that. So I don't know. I feel like, at least right now, you really still need the human element in it.
Well, the image generation stuff that you were talking about, it's all pretty much for fun at this point. Who is going to utilize, and it looks so fake. I mean, it's wow, I can't believe it came up with that image.
Yeah.
But it's I'm not going to post that on my Facebook. Create me a picture of a pizza with these toppings, and
there's always a hand or finger coming out of it or something.
Yeah, but it's not going to look like my pizza. And even if it came close, it's that's not close enough. So I'm not going to use that.
Right.
With the Adobe products, they're starting to use AI, and I use Adobe Premiere and Photoshop, Illustrator, and Design. So on Photoshop, you can do this in the other programs too in different ways. But as an example, in Photoshop, there's an image, I forget what it's called, like image generator or something like that. And you can plug in
generative fill, right?
Yeah, generative fill. So like for example, sitting here, I think I used this table. So I was taking a pizza, like right here, a picture of a pizza, and in the background, I do it when no one's here, obviously. So like, just because I have lights and stuff, so I could put like backs of heads right here to make it look like there's, which sometimes it actually looks decent. I think I've posted a few pictures where I've used that, you know, so there's fake people in it, and they're blurred out because the background's not in focus. So it helps it look a little bit more natural. But and that's not the norm, but like if I have time to just kind of tool around on my computer and I'm getting content ready to post, I've done that. So there are things, and it is like getting better regularly.
Yeah.
But
I think I've used audio editing a little bit too. I don't pay for one now because the options are kind of expensive, but from an audio editor perspective of like getting the voices right and taking out background hum and all that stuff.
Well, that's something I saw even on Premiere. Like when I've been editing my YouTube videos or even this podcast, like now in the future on this podcast, I learned over the weekend, you can use the enhanced audio in Premiere, which is using AI.
Oh yeah. That's the tool that.
Is that what you saw?
Yeah. My buddy's done it. I've sent him podcasts. He's done it for me. Sent him back.
It's super easy. Do you use Premiere to edit your videos or something
No,
else?
I'm on DaVinci.
Okay. Yeah, but it's really easy to change. Like instead of adjusting the treble and the bass and the pan and all those like individually or whatever, then you have these presets and it's using AI to like make it sound better, and you can just scroll through like podcast voice, background voice, large room voice, and it kind of just adjusts it and
that's awesome.
Takes out a lot of like the humming sounds, like you said, and so it's cool. You know, those things I want to start using just because it makes my life easier.
Yeah.
You know,
as you know, we're both business owners. Like I don't have time to really I can't spend 8 hours a week editing a podcast. You know.
Yeah.
So I think tools like that to get stuff up and running more is extremely helpful. I think this about technology often. Like I've been thinking about AI a lot over the last few years, and with every new technology, it's gonna take away jobs. You know, you think of like the tractor took away a bunch of farm jobs.
Yeah.
And then the economy kind of figures it out and replaces. So I don't know how much to worry about specific jobs. I can empathize with graphic designers if that was what I did my whole life and I was really good at it, and I'm kind of freaked out right now because everybody's using Canva. That sucks, you know? Yeah. But like, I do think there will be a correction in those. Either those are the people that are going to get really, really fast and really, really good at using the AI tools to just handle more clients now, or there's going to be a correction and there's going to be a new field that opens up and a new avenue for jobs.
Yeah, and at least at this point, I think it's just improving the people, like the low budget or mid-level stuff. Like if I was going to design a logo for this, I still wouldn't use Canva or AI. You know, I'm going to use, but someone that's maybe starting a podcast or like a YouTube channel, it might be good enough for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. What do you think about so as far as I know, Coca-Cola was the first major brand that did a major
commercial
production, with AI. They did a AI commercial. Got a ton of backlash for it. What are your thoughts on it?
With that type of commercial, it kind of looked like something that was CGI or... So like when you think about Disney movies or something like that, if they made an AI Disney movie, I probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference because it's kind of like Pixar looking. You know, that's what they were going for in that
it was
commercial.
the polar bears and the...
If that's what you're going for, then I don't really have a problem with it. It gets a little... It changes. Like it gets a little weird if you're trying to make it look like real life. You have actors that are like fake actors.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what to think of that. You know, like it's hard for me to feel bad for the entertainment industry, you know, for actors and stuff like, but it is weird.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think?
I get it from a business perspective, and I don't blame them. It also, I don't like it. It feels weird to do that when there's so many good options to not do it now. Like this is the toothpaste out of the tube kind of like we can't go back now. Open Pandora's box thing. We're like, now that Coca-Cola's done it, everybody's going to look at budgets and be like, do we really want to spend $3 million shooting a commercial? We can pay this AI company $50,000 and
yeah, I think that's the difference between like your tractor example and this. It's like it affects every industry.
Yeah.
Not just like the farming.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, because it's going to trickle to like everything.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah. For sure. You know, like I think like with Teslas and everything, like someone's going to own a car and it's just going to drop them off where they're going and then it's going to go home. So like parking spaces will be irrelevant. You know, like if I wanted to go out to eat with Stina downtown, we could just have the car drop us off and then it could just park at home, go charge back up while it's at home, and then we could call it, you know.
Yeah,
that's what I
Uber.
You know, yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I see happening like way down the road, you know.
100%, yeah.
So it's gonna change a lot, but it's fun to think about like how far it could go.
Yeah.
Which is somewhat limitless, but
it really is. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So of what you've used, what AI tools do you wish would be better, and what are you kind of like nervous about? What do you hope doesn't enter the market?
Yeah. As far as better, I think ChatGPT probably. Just like text and scripting. I did use it to help script some videos. And still I think like, I need to put in my human 80% here. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I would like to see an improvement. I don't know, this is almost scary to say, but like an improvement in the critical thinking to help get to the steps, like with the board game thing, like actually write game mechanics in there and stuff. As far as like what I'm hoping doesn't take over, like I like drafting houses.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that process. I hope in 10 years there's still a way for a human to think of a floor plan and it still be better than an AI that thought of a floor plan based off of a couple prompts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you're small enough to where it's like you don't want your industry or your job to be lost from AI, but you don't have employees.
Yeah.
So you kind of want the help because it's only going to save you time. So
100%.
you're like, it's like a double-edged sword.
It is. And that like same thing with ChatGPT. Like it scares me to think of an AI that's got better critical thinking, but also like that really helped to have an assistant that could answer emails.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, so one of the other things I didn't really mention, which I don't know if it's AI or if it's just like coding with this program that I use, but I don't have a CFO, so I do a lot of the bookkeeping myself, and so all of our bills in the restaurants get scanned into Margin Edge, which is the program that we use. So the managers scan those, and then it comes into my system, and then I pay the bill on that website. And someone in the office, wherever Margin Edge is headquartered, physically sends out that bill, or I can have it set up to EFT. But it's basically the AI component that I'm talking about is when they're scanning the invoice and it comes into my system, it's taking each product and recognizing the price and building out our order guide and our inventory sheets and all that, and it's updating it. So if the price moves, then the product on our inventory sheet it also moves, which is good because it makes the inventory accurate. So I'd like to see but sometimes it does when they scan an invoice, it'll pull the wrong number, and I'll have to email support and be like, hey, this invoice is wrong. Can you please fix it? Which isn't a huge deal, but I mean, I think improvements with some of that stuff, at least making my life easier in the office, because I would much rather, I like having control over that stuff, the payroll, the banking. I don't really want a lot of people in the company like knowing where things are at. I want to keep that information private, which is why I like to have control over it, but it allows me to have all the control that I want over all these little things. So that's just one of the programs that I use that I think uses AI, or it's called EDI, I think, or something.
Okay.
But it's some sort of recognition, you know, whether it's AI or just the coding that they use. I don't know, but but that makes a pretty big impact on my day to day. Like I log into that website, every single day, for sure, because I'm always using it. So I'd like to see that. It doesn't really make me nervous outside of like more like ghost kitchens or things like that, where they utilize robots in the future. Like I don't really get nervous, because at the end of the day, people want to go out to eat and they want to have a personal connection with their server. Or I think that's always going to be there. So
especially, I imagine restaurant owner, like no computer is going to go buy land and build a building. At least that'll be like the last thing they start doing, before they take over and we have the Matrix.
Right. Yeah.
Or Terminator.
Which when that happens, like, look out. Go in your bunker.
When that happens, the business podcast will probably be over.
Yeah. It's been fun.
But yeah, like you are such a hard job to replace, because opening a restaurant and running a restaurant is so different than a menial task. You're not just creating one thing. You're creating like an atmosphere and an environment.
Yeah, and if I think I've heard of bars or restaurants that like are starting to use robots like as bartenders.
Yeah.
Which like at this point at least, that's a novelty.
Yeah, it's like, cool, robot, maybe, yeah, right.
It's like the bar in Star Wars or something. So, I can see people like, we got to go there. There's a robot that's a bartender, but like that's just like a one-off experience. And I think at the end of the day, people just want to talk to a person.
Yeah. I imagine like if that does take off, the high-end stuff will still be humans. Mm-hmm. You'll go to a classy place that has a human bartender.
Yeah. It's a treat.
Yeah. It's funny. Well, yeah, if you're using AI in your business now, tell us how you're using it, or there's stuff you want to see computers generate, or you're worried about your job being taken. Throw it in the comments.
We'll empathize with you.
We'll give you lots of emojis.
All right, guys.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Yep.